Hi everyone, this is Elku here, and I'm making a quick video basically trying to explain what exactly Rising Storm is, because recently Rising Storm went on sale on Steam during the Steam sale. Not only that, but it's been a moderately popular title that people have been picking up recently. I guess to start off, what exactly is Rising Storm? I would say that it's a class-based FPS. It takes place in World War II on the Pacific Front, and it has a focus on the infantry fighting during that time and in that place. Now, some differences between Rising Storm and some of the other well-known FPSs out there is, like, for example, it's not very easy to learn. It's not... Sorry about that. It's not very easy to learn off the bat, and it has a very, very heavy focus on realism. And there are three main modes of play. There's realism, action, and classic, but the most common by far is realism. That's the most played mode because, in my opinion, I think it's because it's a nice mix between realism and action. It's not overly realistic where it actually starts hindering the smoothness of the gameplay. But in general, it's still realistic enough that you get a nice adrenaline high when you're playing the game because of the difficulty. The action mode, comparatively, it has less emphasis on the realism, obviously. You basically have... It takes a lot more to kill somebody in the game. And in general, it just feels like you're shooting like puffs of smoke at the enemy. I don't really like it, and most people don't. You can barely find any servers out there that actually have this mode in the game. Now, when it comes to how to play the game, there are different modes, of course. There's Territory, Campaign, Countdown, and Firefight. Territory is what I'm playing right now, so it's common form, and it's just, you have to capture or defend areas. That's all it is to it. It's pretty simple, I guess, but it takes a little bit of cranial thought, I guess. The campaign is basically a hybrid version of it. It's territory on a large scale. You actually have different areas that you try to take over and stuff. Countdown is basically territory except timed. You try to take the territory or defend it for as long as possible. You try to take the territory as fast as possible, and then the two sides switch places, and they try to attack and you defend, and whichever side captures the areas the quickest will actually be the winner in that particular case. Firefight is just basically team deathmatch, straight up team deathmatch, except it's highly realistic when it comes to the weapons and stuff like that. So it does usually, it's not a very popular mode, though it is more popular than Countdown. Now, about the realism of this game, as you might have noticed, I have no crosshair, and I have I actually have floating aim. So, depending on how I move and stuff like that, I'll be pointing at a different area, and I won't know exactly where I'm pointing it until I pull out my sights. And even then, as you notice, it does float a little bit when I bring up the sights. And not only that, but you have stamina, of course. When you use up your stamina, it takes a while to regenerate. And when you're low on stamina, you notice that I have decently steady aim, and I can actually focus my aim. But when I am out of stamina or low on stamina, it actually shakes all over the place when you're trying to aim. So you have to keep that in mind when you're running around and stuff like that.
Keep your eyes open, soldier.
Now, another thing is that you might notice that I don't have much of a HUD up right now. I don't really have any information. Every once in a while you might see something like that pop up. But in general, it isn't really much. the only way I can bring up the HUD is by holding down a button, and that brings up the HUD, and it still is pretty minimalistic. The guns behave very, very much like in real life, where it has decent kick and it has a nice sound to it, of course. But the magazine, you can actually check, for example. You don't have an ammo counter. It tells you how much of a magazine you have left whenever you check, and you can kind of tell when you're out as well. And now, you might notice that I don't have an ammo counter normally, even when I bring that up, and it shows basically how many magazines I have left. You do actually keep magazines that are half empty when you reload, and you can't really reload half empty magazines unless you go to an ammo place. So that's another thing you have to keep in mind in this game. It's realistic as in ammo management and in also other types, like for example how the gun reacts and how you aim and everything like that. You can't just quick scope somebody from like across the map. It's just not possible. Not only that, but not just the guns, but yourself, like as a person in the game, is quite realistic. The amount of damage you take is very, very high. As you might have noticed, I killed those enemies I shot earlier with basically a single shot, because this rifle uses high-powered rifle rounds. Of course, it's going to kill people really quick. You might also notice there is no health bar. I might think, oh, that thing on the bottom right there with the exclamation mark, that might be a health bar. No, it's not. That's your suppression bar. When you get shot at, you actually get suppressed, and if you're fully suppressed, you cannot aim for crap. Not only that, but if you try to aim, you'll be all over the place. It's very hard to hit anything while you're like that. And you might notice there's a little guy down there. You will actually see damage on him as you take damage. For example, you get shot in the arm, it shows you got shot in the arm. When you shoot somebody or get shot, they either instantly die, which is the usual, or if they survive getting shot, most likely they'll start bleeding. You have a set amount of health or more blood in this game, where if you're bleeding, you have to actually bandage that up, and unless you do, you're going to bleed out and die. Basically, you'll black out. And if you don't take care of it, you instantly die. It's usually you have maybe 10 seconds at most to take care of it. You want to run somewhere, and then you can actually bandage yourself up. When you bandage yourself up, you're completely open.
We have got the job done.
Anyways, when you're bandaging yourself, you're completely open. You cannot do anything. You can only look around. You can't shoot your guns, so you're gonna get your butt handed to you if somebody on the other team finds you while you are, of course, bandaging up. So that's one thing to keep in mind, and that's another thing about the realism that I really like in this game. So not only that, but the insta-kill hit zones also is a little bit more realistic in my opinion. You can instantly kill someone by shooting in the head, or you can instantly kill them by shooting them through the heart. Makes complete sense. If you get shot through the heart, most likely you'd be dead before you hit the ground anyways, right? So that's a nice little feature that they added in my opinion. Now, in my opinion, overall, this game, it's a super intense shooter with a high risk, high reward kind of combat, and it just really makes it feel like you earn every single kill you get. Not only that, but you feel like it's a great rush when you survive and manage to kill someone because of the lethality of the combat. And I can't really describe it unless you actually play it. There's not many games that really offer that kind of feeling, in my opinion. Like, for example, some of the really popular action shooters out there, you have regenerating health. Come on, like after a fight, you're basically good to go after like 5 seconds. No big deal, right? In this game, oh heck no. You get shot, you gotta bleed. You're bleeding, you gotta fix that up. Not only that, but if you get a shot while you're wounded, pretty much lights out for you at that point. One big thing in this game that needs to be emphasized is the teamwork factor of this game. If you don't work together as a team, you most likely won't do very well. If you work as a team, you can easily overwhelm the enemy if they're not really very, I guess, if they're not working well together. I've seen more than a few times where a team that actually talks with each other, tells each other what to do, and gives each other like status updates, things like that, they will just completely steamroll another team that just isn't doing that. Just everyone's doing their own thing. So basically, another thing I want to point out is that this game isn't really balanced when it comes to the weapons. Of course, this goes to the whole realism thing. The Japanese just didn't have as good tech as the United States at the time, and it shows. As the Americans, you almost always have superior technology when it comes to firearms and stuff like that. So you have the good gun, semi-automatic Garand that I'm using right now is a heck of a lot better than a full-action rifle, of course. And the Japanese, to counter that, have like little special abilities that are really sneaky and everything like that. Like, for example, they can plant the grenades in the ground and then use them as landmines. And if they do that, they can easily, instantly kill a bunch of people that are unsuspecting. And in general, because of that, I feel like overall the gameplay is pretty balanced. Though, of course, there are a few weapons, in my opinion, that need some extra balancing. Reloading! But that's something for the future, and that's a different issue that I might talk about in the future. But anyways, I hope that was enough information for you guys to kind of get an idea as to what this game is. If you want some more information and want to know a little bit more about how to use the weapons and everything like that, I would highly recommend actually looking at the tutorial in the game. That actually describes how the physics and stuff like that work pretty well, how the gameplay is like, and also you can take a look at the gameplay videos on my channel. That is Red Orchestra 2, but that's basically a spiritual, in the same spirit kind of game as this. It's not exactly the same, it takes place in a different place, but overall the gunplay and everything like that, very, very similar. So you might want to check those out if you want some more, I guess, if you want to know if it's your kind of game or not. Before you buy it. And if you have bought it, I would highly recommend this, as I said before the tutorial. Anyways, I might make some more videos in the future talking about different things in this game, and of course making gameplay videos and stuff like that of this game. So until next time, I hope this video helped you guys out. Thank you very much for watching, and have a very, very nice day.